Okay, so if you're a manager, you spend your days, making decisions, building strategy, leading your team. But what about all those forces happening outside your control? Today, we are diving deep into what we call the external environment, and we're going to see how truly understanding it is the absolute key to survival.
So, let's just kick things off with a really big question. I want you to think about your own organization for a second. Your company, your department, your team. Is it actually built to thrive in the world it lives in? By the time we're done here, you're going to have the tools to answer that. All right, section 1. First things first, right? Before we can even think about navigating this external world, we have to get a handle on what it's even made of.
So the external environment is basically everything happening outside your four walls that can mess with your plans. Think of it like a weather system your company has to sail through. You can't stop the rain, you can't change the wind, but you better know how to read the forecast and adjust your sails.
Now, this environment isn't just one big, chaotic storm. It's actually got two layers. First, there's the general, or macro environment. This is the big picture stuff, like the global economy, major tech breakthroughs, political shifts. It affects pretty much everybody. Then you've got the task, or micro environment. This is your immediate neighborhood. These are the players in your specific game, your customers, your direct rivals, your most important suppliers. You've got to keep an eye on both the long-range weather forecast and the other boats right next to you.
So, how in the world do we make sense of all this? I mean, it's not enough to just make a list of forces. We need a way to actually measure them. And it turns out there are two key dials we can look at to get a read on things.
Okay, key number 1 is complexity. It's pretty simple, really. It's just about how many different things you have to pay attention to. For example, a local bakery. Their world is pretty low complexity. They've got a few suppliers, local customers, pretty straightforward rules. But a big pharma company? Whoa. They're juggling global regulators, insurance companies, hospitals, doctors, patient groups. It's a ton of different factors. That is high complexity.
And the second key is change, or as it's sometimes called, dynamism. This is all about speed and surprise. How fast and how unpredictably are all those factors shifting? A utility company, for example, is in a super stable environment. The rules don't change much, demand is predictable, low change. But a mobile app developer? My goodness, they are in a wildly dynamic world where a new competitor or a new technology could pop up overnight and change everything. And here is where it gets really interesting. When you take those two ideas, complexity and change, and you put them together, they do something amazing. They give you a map that lets you measure the one thing that keeps every manager up at night: uncertainty. So let's pull out that map. By putting these two things on a simple grid, we can see that there are really only 4 types of environments out there, and each one requires a totally different playbook. And here it is. This is the whole game board. Look, on one axis, you've got complexity, going from simple to complex. On the other, you have change, from stable to dynamic. See how that creates 4 boxes, 4 different worlds? Now look at the labels. Uncertainty is super low in that simple, stable corner, and it's off the charts in the complex, dynamic corner. Just take a second and think about it. Where does your organization live on this map? Let's start in the calmest part of the map, the simple, stable world. Here you have very few things to worry about, and they barely ever change. This is where you find those utility companies or businesses that make basic stuff, like salt. You can make 5-year plans and actually stick to them. It's predictable. Uncertainty is super low. Now, let's leap across the map to the complete opposite, the storm. The complex, dynamic environment. Here, you are juggling a million different things, and all of them are changing constantly and without warning. This is the world of biotech, or global tech giant. Uncertainty is through the roof. The plan you made yesterday might be totally useless by this afternoon. Okay, this brings us to what I think is the most powerful idea in this whole explainer. Knowing where you are on that map is one thing, but it's useless unless it tells you what to do. And the big takeaway is this: your internal organization, how you're structured, must match your external world. And that right there is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Once you've figured out what kind of environment you're in, how do you actually design a company that can win there? Are you building a rigid stone fortress or a fast, nimble sailboat?
Well, it turns out there are really 2 basic blueprints. On one side, you have mechanistic structures. Think of a machine. It's rigid, it's efficient, there's a clear chain of command, and decisions come from the top. It's built for a predictable world. Then, on the other side, you have organic structures. Think of a living thing. It's flexible, It's adaptive. People have fluid roles, and communication is informal. It's built for change.
And here's where it all clicks into place. In those calm, simple, stable environments we talked about, a mechanistic structure is perfect. When the world doesn't change, you build a well-oiled machine designed for maximum efficiency and control.
But what happens in that chaotic, complex dynamic environment? Well, a rigid machine would just shatter into a million pieces. In that world, you need an organic structure. You need something that can learn, evolve, and adapt on the fly. You need a living, breathing network that can respond to anything.
And this quote just says it all. The single biggest danger is a mismatch. It's a misalignment. If you've got a slow, rigid bureaucracy trying to play in a fast, turbulent market, you are absolutely setting yourself up to fail. That mismatch is a direct line to performance problems.
Okay, so we've got the theory, we've got the map, we know the kinds of structures. Now, let's get practical. How do you actually use this stuff? Here's a 5-step toolkit to put it all into action.
Let's walk through this real quick. Step 1, clarify your domain. You got to know exactly what game you're playing and who you're playing it with. Step 2, assess your uncertainty. Be honest and plot yourself on that map. Step 3, this is the big one. Align your structure. Make sure your design actually fits your reality. Step 4, build scanning into your routines. Make talking about the external environment a regular part of your meetings, not a once-a-year thing. And finally, Step 5, develop what are called dynamic capabilities, the skills to sense what's changing and adapt fast.
So, we end right back where we started. But now you have the tools to really answer this question. Take a hard look at the world your organization operates in. Then take a hard look at how your organization actually operates. Are they aligned? Which environment are you really in? And is your team truly built to win there?